All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So I wasn't paying attention in the little intro video faded out. I was like, hey, we're on now. So I hope you guys are doing good. We've got a really fun idea this month for our deep dive with John and Andy, and are kind of I guess like carrying on a tradition at this point now. So 2 years ago, I was kind of like hitting the end of the year, and I thought it might be fun just to almost as a way to document, like, here's what my desk looks like at the end of 2020, right? The pandemic was like huge transition coming to working from home, and I kind of wanted to document like how much had changed over the year. And then last year, Andy and I did some live stream about this topic, as well as like things that we recommend getting as far as like building out your home office environment, some gear lists and things like that. And then this year, we've had a Twitter DM going on with the four of us to talk about, like advice for each other and like, kind of comparing setups and stuff. So at one point, I think it might have been Darrell, you mentioned like, hey, why don't we just like go live if we're going to have a Teams meeting and like ask each other questions? Why don't we just do it on LinkedIn and YouTube and all of the platforms that we all have channels on? And I guess that'll kind of capture like a point in time. So I guess like let's just go ahead and dive in. How do you guys want to do this? You want to go around and introduce yourselves for people who might be watching? Like we're on what, like 8 different channels right now, or 6 different channels, something like that. So everybody who's watching might not know who each other is. So what do you think? Round of introductions to start out?
Sounds good.
Okay, why don't Andy, you go first because you're in my upper corner.
All right. Well, I'm the Andy from John and Andy 365 Deep Dive. So I'm based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I guess Microsoft MVP. I like cameras. This is a fun time of year to geek out on Tech November, Tech December. So really looking forward to this one. To John's point, this started on Twitter. Conversation was going, and I think it was Seb Matthews is like, you guys are going to record this, right? And the response was yeah, and then from there we took it to the DMs and kind of figured out what we're going to talk about. But I'm ready to geek out on this one. This one should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. And where are you at, Andy?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, I was in Charlotte yesterday for 1.5 hours as I was flying through on my way back to Kansas City. So
I hope they didn't drop you off in E and make you go to A to get on your plane, because that's about a 2-mile walk.
No, they dropped me off at A and I had to go to D terminal.
That's about the same distance.
Yeah, it was like a 15-minute walk, and like about 2/3 of the people movers were down at the time, because there was, I don't know if anybody else has ever been to the Charlotte airport, but there's 2 things that are really cool about it. There's trees indoors along like the people mover, like escalator things, and there's rocking chairs all along there. Like, like it's so Southern, right? There's these white rocking chairs everywhere. And the people movers were down though where the trees were, and I noticed like there was a ton of leaves all over them, and I was wondering if that was why, if like a bunch of leaves fell on the tracks and they had to clean them or something. So
haven't been in the airport
Andy
properly in a while.
Yeah, just blowing leaves off the trees.
Yeah, blowing leaves. I'm off to the gate.
To the airport.
Heard John was coming through, so let's shut down the people movers.
Yeah, I got my steps in yesterday. All right, Alistair, why don't you go next?
Let me come closer. Alistair Pugin, MVP like Andy. I suppose we're all MVPs. I'm in sunny South Africa. For those who don't know where it is, we're at the bottom of Africa. I'm in Cape Town, and like Andy was saying earlier on, or I think John mentioned it, we had this conversation on Twitter, and Seb literally said, you are recording this. And it actually started when we were watching Ignite. It was the sort of a watch party that we were having it regarding 365. John showed up, and I geeked out because of his background. And I said, wow, that's amazing. And multi-camera, and we'll go through that in a bit. And then things just born from there. I geeked out. Darrell knows that I geek out about cameras and lighting and everything. And yeah, that's how we got, and I think, yes, we do have our own channels. I've got SCI Fridays. I spend a lot of time in the security space. I don't know what else to say. I suppose we're going to get there when we start talking about camera kit, right? But yeah, it's 3-4 years watching a lot of YouTube, the Peter McKinnons and the Dope Squad and all of that to get to
bike.
An insurmountable amount of money, right? That was spent on this. It's the price of a small village, right?
Oh yeah, I'd be curious if everybody has like in their mind like how much money they've spent, even just since the pandemic, on all their video gear. We'll have to go over that.
I've got a spreadsheet.
Yeah, like about 2 years ago, I was like $7,000 into all my setup, but it's been a while, and I've bought even more stuff. So cool. All right, I guess I'll go next. My name's John Moore. For those on other channels, we're hosting this out of my restream, but I think we're live on Darrell's YouTube, and a couple other channels got added too, I think. But I'm also a Microsoft MVP. This is my 3rd year as an MVP. I've been on YouTube for I think about 5 years. I've been creating video content. So I've kind of just been, like little baby steps, doing like different things, trying to make every video just a little bit nicer than the one before, not getting too much into like making huge leaps and having like technical problems all over the place. I just kind of want to like work on one thing at a time. And this will be fun to go over and hear everybody's journey and where we've all ended up as of 2022. So last but not least, and I'm in Kansas City, by the way, Kansas City, Missouri. And I was in Orlando all week doing an onboarding week with my new company. So I just got in yesterday and had to put my desk back together. So like I just got my camera online today and ready to go. But yeah, without further ado, last but not least, Darrell, where are you coming from?
As a service.
As a service, the service is on. I'm coming from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm coming from years of doing everything wrong and figuring it out the hard way. I'm coming from live streaming and trying to create videos from mobile, and I still do, to interesting journeys of getting people to come all together into a Teams meeting with OBS over here on another machine and cutting stuff out. It was all like digital origami or paper mache or something. And I've really appreciated being part of this community and getting to know these guys via Twitter. Okay, I just got to go props. Forget what's happening right now, but there's a good, vibrant community there of people who actually do care, share, learn from, and that's what it's about. I've learned from these guys. I've learned from the community. So, so cool to be here with you guys and trading stories.
Yeah. Awesome. Speaking of learning from, we've got Mr. Jeremy Chapman in the chat here, Mr. Mechanics himself. I can't even like express how much I've learned from Jeremy over the past years. Well, and he's also got an awesome YouTube channel. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, you've got a mechanics tattoo. Of course you do. That's awesome, dude. Check out Jeremy's channel on YouTube. Jeremy, put it in the chat and we'll put it up on screen if you're still watching. But he does a lot of awesome like camera comparisons and things like that as well for people who are working from home, like all of us these days. And then, and I see that Phil says he's joining us. He's joining from his bed. So thanks for that, Phil. And so another one to call out here is Ross. He talked about a van office. Who is it that has like they set up a really awesome van? Was it Ragnar? Yeah, Ragnar. He's got an awesome like just like super cool van. I'm sure they call it something different in Europe. It's like a caravan.
A modern workmobile or something.
Yeah.
Is it Periwinkle Blue?
Yeah,
Periwinkle
it's a cool setup. He inspired me. I really want to make a video about like setting up my van, because we have a minivan that's got like HDMI inputs and like Wi-Fi hotspot stuff. I want to make my van into a Microsoft Teams room. I think it'd be like a really funny video to like hook up a bar to like the seat back screens in our minivan, and then make my wife like drive me around the city while I like join Teams meetings all day from my mobile office.
Extreme hybrid.
Yeah, seeing
and then you need like a Starlink dish on the roof, right?
Yeah. Well, it's got like cellular connectivity and a little like Wi-Fi hotspot. So as long as you're somewhere near a city, it probably would work out. So, all right, cool. Let's start with, how do you guys want to do this? You want to do like we just one at a time, like switch over to our mobile cameras and show what our desk setup is, and then I think that'll like inspire some questions for each other about like, why did you choose this, or you know, how is that gadget working out? I've been thinking about buying this thing or that thing, and we'll just kind of go from there. How's that sound, guys?
And try and hold off telling the full story as we point at everything.
Right. Yeah. Maybe we just kind of do like snapshot in time first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny because what everyone's going to see is how similar we all ended up with mostly the same things, right?
Yeah. It's almost like we all follow each other on Twitter and just buy all the same stuff. Cool. Well, the two A's up at the top of the screen here, you guys probably have the most like baller setups of anybody. So you guys want to start out and show us all your different options?
Andy needs to go first, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to defer to our guest. I'm going to defer to our guest.
All right, Darrell, you want to go first?
Oh, should I choose? Let's be Canadian about it. You go, Alistair. Sorry.
Okay, hold on. With me.
No, you.
Okay, I can stay on that. So I joined the Sony gang probably about 2-3 months ago because Sony's got, well, I don't need that. Sony's got the best video quality and the best image science. So what you're seeing over there, that's a Sony ZV-E10. And I've actually got what is that? That's a Sony 24mm f1.4 G Master lens, and I'm very happy with that. Now, there's a ton of lights everywhere. You can buy these really cheap sort of strips. I don't have any at the back, and then I've got some of these little ones, if I can get it.
Oh, nice. Those look really portable.
Yeah. And
who are those by? Are they all the same brand?
These are Ulanzi and Ambifil.
Okay.
Bitful, but it's an Ulanzi brand. So these are, and they're magnetic, so you can stick them on things, and they're dirt cheap, right? I think it was $50 for two of these, and then one of this is $50, and they're on Amazon. And if anyone wants the link to the shopping list, happily do that. Then what I
just
do
open up a browser on my screen. I'm like Amazoning all these things.
I've got a shopping list. I can just send you the link.
Awesome.
This is currently running through an Elgato Camlink 4K because I want to push 4K up. Even if I'm pushing 4K and it's compressing to 1080, I want that. Now, if I switch across to the other cameras, that is actually going through. It won't go there yet. That's going through an ATEM Mini on my desk, and you'll see Andy's got the same thing. That's an aperture light dome with an Amran 60X, and then I've got some accent lighting there. That's a GVM, and then and then I've got an unclean out over there, so that should give you a better picture. ATEM Mini,
the room angle.
Camera, my main camera, and that is that one that you're seeing there. And then I've just got some weird lights in the background. If I move out, you should be able to see some of that. And then if I really wanted to for podcasting, I've got a Rode pod mic with a PSA-1 arm, but right now I'm using the Video Mic Go 2s because of me moving around. And if you've got an SLR, just grab one, stick it straight into those cheap USB dongles, and you're good to go. And that's my setup. There's not much to it, but to get
what do you use for your audio interface? What's your Rode mic plugged into?
A Behringer. I mean, we've got. I'd go with a Scarlett, the Focusrite Scarlett Studio. Those seem to be the de facto standards, but that's a Behringer Euphoria. It's a 2 XLR on the front. If I had to switch across to this, and now you should hear me through this, right? So it should pick up with the pod mic. They're still the best mics out there. Nothing is as good as a pod mic. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. You can go get a video mic, well, these ones. There's the shotgun mics that you can stick on top of your camera and buy Rode. That's my recommendation because they just work. Rode Connect.
Rode stuff is really good.
All of those things. I've got a lot of blue light. I can change the color though. Currently, it's dialed into 233. That's the blue color on some of these things.
Are you able to remotely control all of them, or do you have to like run around the room to set the RGB on stuff?
These ones I can't. They don't have a Bluetooth app. But the
it would
rest,
shoot the price way up.
Yeah. Well, these ones do. And funnily enough, there's no science behind these ones. They're all on the same channel, right? So I can, if I've got 4 of them and I run them on the same channel in the app, I can change the color to exactly the same thing.
Nice.
That GVM is on an app, but if you spend more money, you can literally have this all connected to Alexa or a sensor at the door. You walk in, your lights go on. And I know some people that actually have. I think Tom Buck on YouTube's got some of that. He's got like 13 of these things all over his office, and it's insane.
I've told Andy before, like, if there's anybody that I could just like clone and like copy exactly what their look is Tom Buck. Like if I could just do exactly what his setup looks like, I would be done.
And then one last thing.
Yeah. Okay, yours is a standing desk too.
Yeah.
Do we all have standing desks? I know Andy's got one too. Mine's a standing desk. Darrell, does yours stand up?
Stand up meetings, yes.
Yeah, of
Come
course.
on now.
Nice. We all jumped on the standing desk bandwagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really it. Proper lighting makes a big difference to the camera.
Yeah. Is your light attached to your desk, or is it on like a C stand next to it?
This one's actually on a C stand just behind my desk. So if I did there, so that's behind the desk. Ulanzi makes. You can see the height now and my fat tummy
and the boardies.
Ulanzi's got a stand that'll take a light dome. They've literally got a stand that will take that. One that you can either mount to your desk or put it on wheels. It'll take a screen. I watched another video about 2 weeks ago. They don't have stock on Amazon right now, but it will literally take. You don't have to get a really big C stand and just put the light on it. But if, like with Caleb Pike, they actually made stands now that do that. Ulanzi's also got one where you can stick a camera and a screen and things on your desk. We've got those at the office. Then they've just brought out a new one that's much taller that you can actually mount onto wheels, and it will take the weight of the light dome with an Aperture 120D on the back of that or anything like that.
Cool. Man, that's a great setup. It's really nice. You got you're all HDMI. You've got like a proper video switcher, the ability to change lighting for the different moods. You got multiple mic options for like, hey, I need something right up in my face, or I need to move around a little bit. You got the wireless, option. Yeah.
But you accumulate it, right? Over
Yeah.
time. If you were starting out, go look for an SLR in your cupboard, and it's going to be better than a webcam, right? Unless you're buying it some Opal or Tom Buck had that the new little whatever that camera was. I forget.
Oh
the
yeah,
name.
I saw that one
360.
yesterday. The Insta360 Link is what it's called, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And then
that I want one of those next. I think.
I think Elgato came out with a webcam now as well. The Pro one that's supposed to have a 1-inch sensor or something in it.
Yeah, the Facecam Pro. That one's got like nice background blur now, and I think it's native 4K, so you can like zoom in and kind of do a digital PTZ. I tried. Oh gosh, the name escapes me right now, but kind of like the Insta360. It was a Jeremy tried out one of these on his channel, the little like PTZ physical camera, and it was fantastic. Other than I couldn't run the software on my corporate device, so I couldn't use like the presets. So that was the only reason I had to send it back to Amazon. But Insta360, their software will run on my Mac because they're like a certified developer, So I'll have to check them out. Nice. Do you have any like PTZ stuff, or yours are all fixed angles, right?
Mine's all fixed. I'm not as fancy as Andy, and literally this doesn't sit here. For me, it was dialing in all of this that you're seeing on my main cam, and I suppose going forward, I still got to do stuff with the room, and then look at what Andy's got, because I want what Andy's got. So that
Andy was like moving his camera around a few minutes ago. It's ridiculous.
And the thing is, right, some of this kit was sponsored because two of our shows are sponsored, so it's not coming out of my pocket. And we had a round of sponsorship, so we just recently, this camera here, that one, this one here, that is that's a horrible view. That was my office setup, which was a Canon M6 Mark II, and that's got a Sigma 16mm f1.4 on it. And we just recently upgraded the office. Those cameras are actually going into the office studio because we're building a studio. Nice. So I'm not going to have all this gear here, but it's going to end up. My partner knows what I want for Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a watch. It's light. Or camera or lenses, and you end up spending so much money on lenses, right? The lens on this body is twice the price of the body, and that's a problem because you just want
the
more
glass
lenses
is where it's at.
Keep in mind, you marry a lens, you date a camera.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well, I divorced this one, right? That's it. This is a Sigma 56mm f1.4, and it's an EFM mount. And now that we've gone E mount, what do we do with the lenses, right? Because there's an EF to E adapter, but there's no EFM to E adapter. So when you change bodies and when you change brands, understand that you leave the lenses behind for the most part. Yeah.
That would be true of changing from a SPC to full frame too, right?
No. Of the lenses,
they can fit, but you get different crops, right?
Yeah. So this is a full frame lens, right? And right now it's a 1.5 crop on the Sony's. The Canon is a 1.6. So I know this lens will go straight into a full frame if I ever get to that point, and it's going to work fine. Yeah. Right? So it's not an AP. It's a full frame lens, but it will do APS-C. And now we're geeking out, right?
Ugh. Quick, get on the comments.
Yeah, I got it.
What's going on?
Yeah, every once in a while you get those comments.
Bots?
You gotta like block people on YouTube.
It's a hot live stream, guys.
Yeah, it is.
Just got hotter.
We've got the.
I'm getting hot under the collar talking about all this tech. Oh my goodness! Oh.
Right. The people on LinkedIn aren't seeing the chat. They're just like, what are they talking about? Getting spam messages in the chat. Cool. Darrell, you want to go next? Show us an overview of your setup.
Okay.
All
Right. So
spotlight.
Spotlight me there for a bit, but I've also got that other.
But you got a
source.
drawing,
So
of course
I'll
you
talk about.
do.
I'll just talk for a little bit, but then I'm going to be roving using a restream from my mobile, so you can kind of look at some of the gear.
Yeah.
I'll do just a kind of a flyby, right? So now that I've introduced that, let's turn that camera source on, and if you make that main stage, guys, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Cool. Right. I'm not going wireless. I'm. Oh, did that work? Yeah, good. Cool. I will try and do this slow-ishly. Is this coming through? Are we still here?
It's frozen.
You're frozen, Darrell.
You broke it.
I'm frozen.
No, the mobile is frozen.
The mobile's frozen. Let me thumb that back on and off again. And back on. How about that? Either that or reboot my source. If not,
and
I'm
we
just going to have to
experience this a lot of the time, right? So
Yeah.
Yep. Switch the source
if at
off and
all
back
possible, wire everything in.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like we're trying to live stream from the expo hall of a Microsoft Ignite right now.
Right.
So there are there's kits for that. What is it? The live box, Vivo. What is it called?
Oh, the YOLO Live.
That we can see, Darrell.
You can.
Right?
Jeremy, I 100% agree with that comment. I was actually looking at jibs over the last couple of weeks. They're a little bit out of budget right now.
I've seen like robotic ones, right?
Well, this was a good idea. So let's go with the backup idea. This isn't kind of live, is it? It's actually definitely sluggish.
Well, talk to that picture, Darrell.
I will talk to that picture.
Yeah.
So you're looking at first of all where the camera is. It is on a table-mounted stem. I've gone with Manfrotto mounting kits so that I can easily get my camera across different places. So unlike these guys who've got multiple cameras, I need to use one. I occasionally use my
so you're
mobile.
switching it to different little hubs.
I am.
Yeah.
So
click.
yeah, what you're seeing there is probably where I would have it when I want that nice view right down the table, and I'm trying to get a nice bokeh at the background, and you know that kind of look. We've got a USB sort of device hub thingo at the back. So that's passing through and giving me the connection to all my other kit. I'm using a Elgato Camlink, and so that's just pointing directly into my Sony A6400. On that camera, I'm using a Tamron at the moment. Tamron, what is it? 11 to 20 millimeter. Like you guys before, I was using a Sigma 16 mil, 1.4 aperture, nice bokeh, etc. But I wanted something that I could vary a bit, so that I could, occasionally do the wider shot, as you might see in my little inset there of who I am.
Do you have like presets that you go to on the zoom level? Do you like just like reach up and kind of snap it out? Oh, no,
I just reach out
snap it back in, or
I snap it back in. Yeah, because I'm also using. I took the opportunity to try and learn a bit more about photography and get out and enjoy being present and taking a closer look at where I am in the world. And so the reason I've invested in the kind of kit that I have in terms of mounts and ball heads and plates and stuff is because I want to be able to quickly take it, snap it in somewhere, take it out, put it on, little tripods or things, and just quickly get out there and go from in desk to out in the world. What else do we see here? You don't see the light dome above, but I've got a Amron, what is it, 100X, I think, and then the Light Dome SE. I was using.
Do you have kind of the
Elgato.
waffle insert like
Yeah, I
Alistair
do.
has? Or okay.
And I find that that's quite important. Feel free to like switch between the.
Oh yeah, you got a
You know
drawing
what?
back there. There
let
you
me
go.
let me do this. Let me do this. I know that you're not going to see me, but
Dude, I've always loved your new angle that you've got, where like you've got the whiteboard over your shoulder and the greenery behind you.
right.
Like
The
I think
Jeffrey,
you did
right?
that when
The
you moved
Jeffrey. I
into
just
a
want
new
to
house,
stroke
right?
the Jeffrey.
The Jeffrey.
All right.
There we go.
Let's.
We need
talk over
Microsoft
this.
Teams content captured, straightened.
Yeah. So light dome up here, nice angle, right? And the
Oh, is
camera
that
was.
what it is? He drew it.
You
Yeah,
diagrammed
I
it.
drew it.
Yeah,
I drew it. I did
That's
it.
so awesome.
It's giving it a go. But you can see why I use the comb. So
Yeah.
while the camera's looking directly here, of course, it's picking up all of that reflection. I didn't realize the comb was all about trying to cut out that crazy angle that you see right now, where you've got this kind of hot spot there. But where the camera usually is in its two other positions, I don't get that. So it's quite important for whiteboards to use something like that if you want to sort of cut down the glare. The other thing, and I should do this too, maybe I can do this carefully.
Make sure you get that
Without
Shure
pulling
logo in there,
cables.
nice and huge.
Right. This this is where I am.
Oh,
right. So I'm
there
right
we
in front
go.
of a window.
Yeah.
Second story, and I like the natural light, but I do have these dark curtains occasionally that I use. This was an old like baby creche attached to our bedroom off to the side, well before we were here. So it's got your 1980s built-in hardcore cupboards, and it's all about blocking out all the rubbish in boxes so that my set's all sort of nice. I've got various different microphones, and that's part of the problem when you join a Teams call. Is you're like, what have I got plugged in, and what is it using? So sometimes I'm using this. What is this? An NTG Rode video mic.
That's the video mic NTG. That one's USB-C and 3.5 mil, right?
Yep, correct.
Nice.
And so that's been quite nice and versatile. So that's using an Elgato Thingo frame to get it over the head if I need to. I also switched to slightly different monitor arm, because what I have done, you might see in some of my videos, is I'll swing that arm right out, and then I'll capture that angle from right back here and use it almost like it's a whiteboard, digital whiteboard, so people can see it.
Nice.
So that's kind of interesting. Desk-wise, okay, I'm roving. I'm making it work.
Darrell,
Yeah?
when you joined the stream, did you select your video bitrate in? Did you select the default one in 360p, or did you select 720p?
Oh, as a guest, I didn't choose.
Because right now you're coming through at 360p.
Oh, Anna. Yowzers. Maybe I should just quickly change that.
Do we all have mechanical keyboards?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Mine's mechanical.
Yeah.
The one on my wall is mechanical too.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know.
What's yours? Yours the K2 also?
Yeah. It's
Yeah, mine's on the wall. My K2's on the wall.
I've got a K1, and then I've got,
That's
they
awesome.
brought out the cream ones, right, that I actually have at the office.
Oh, yeah.
And my kids are gamers, the twins. We're a Keychron house right now.
Yeah.
We've tried everything else, but we've sort of stuck with Keychron. And
Yeah.
Darrell's got a Keychron as well, the one with the knob.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
Talking about audio and connecting stuff, Wave XLR.
Okay.
And I did have my mic on an arm, but I kind of wanted to go with the broadcaster look and being able to sort of shift it around the desk and sort of use it differently.
Yeah.
So it's just on one of those Rode sort of stands, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
What
more
else?
flexibility that way.
Yeah. I've been recently using a trackpad because I switched to Mac. I switched to Mac.
Oh, my goodness.
Me too.
Yeah, I know.
Me too.
Yeah.
Nice.
But the trackpad I've been trying to use to reduce the clicking noises and also just keep the desk a bit freer. I'm getting back into using Stream Deck. I've actually been trying to teach myself more of the Mac gestures and loading stuff.
Key one.
Yeah, like this
Okay.
is back in Alistair when you and I were reporters for Ignite. It was around about that year that I got this. That was like 2016 or 17.
Yeah, I've got the same one on my desk. It does nothing right now. It's just
we'll have to do that. We'll have to show all of our Stream Deck button layouts too. People will probably like to see that.
There's this gorgeous lady down here too. So that's important. My wife. I see there's a question there from LinkedIn. I did have one of those low profile Elgato arms.
Yeah.
It kind of, well, mine, I don't know, just didn't deal with the weight very well. And I just found that this thing, I could push it to wherever I wanted. So it works.
I had a problem with standing, right? So it's fine sitting, and I've got them in the cupboard over there. The minute I stood, I'd be further away from the mic, and that didn't work. That's why I'm still on this, right? Because if I stand, I can move it around.
Yep, exactly. What is that one? That's an Amron colored panel. I forget what the spec is, but I got those to replace the Elgato key lights. And so the original idea was use those instead of the key lights, so then I could take them to location and then use it to do interviews and stuff for people in the change management kind of work that I do. So I've got another one like that, but it's white, and take that. There's
that's nice.
What is it? Philips Hue. Various Philips Hue lights for giving effect. There's one even hanging around behind the board here too, loose. A couple of the domes or whatever those dish ones are, and then I kind of wanted to get into the filament light. So there's that beautiful cat that Alistair made for us during the South African tour, and so that's kind of like ding, I've got an idea. Anyway, awesome. I mean shelving. But I have been using this board quite a bit, not just decoratively, but also practically. I haven't got into using the tech that, captures the board, frames it up nicely and flattens it so much. Did a little bit, but it hasn't been working so well on Mac. My layout. Hopefully that gives you
that's
an
awesome.
overview.
That really illustrates it well.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing the next layout from one of you chaps, and then getting into the details.
Phil's got the perfect comment. He's like, I'm gonna have to show this to my wife to make her realize that my spending is not that bad as these guys.
Ooh, okay, fair enough.
Someone's asking about the new Stream Deck Plus with the dials. John, you posted about that, didn't you?
Yeah, I retweeted something about it. I almost bought it. I was really, really close to buying it. But maybe early next year I might get it. I really want one because I want to have one just dedicated to audio stuff, and then my big Stream Deck for like everything else, for like doing annotations. But I've got an idea for Stream Deck.
I forgot to say there's the second mount behind here. So just for those who are interested, I didn't get a second ball head. This little inset, that silver thing over there, you can actually take the whole thing out. So all I do is I take that out of the stand, drop it into that one, and I've got a very quick second angle when I want it.
Nice.
Very convenient.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. What do they call those? That little stud on the top. What do they call that?
Yes.
Spigot. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
All right.
All right. Andy, you up?
Yes. Here we go. So to Alistair's point, this is an accumulation of things over many, many years. The pandemic did accelerate a couple of things, and there are a couple of pieces of my kit that are supplied by my employer because of what I do. But most of everything on here is mine, but I've accumulated it over many years. And I'm always on the lookout for high quality used gear. That's my biggest piece of advice, especially in the camera world. You can get high quality used gear and save a good bit of money, lenses and cameras specifically. And then Black Friday deals and things like that. That's where some of the other content came from. So first and foremost, directly in front of me, the camera that I'm using is a Sony A7 IV. That is from work, but nice. We use it for training, webinars, content, and then like actual physical capture of stills and video on location. So this is Sony A7 IV that is currently running into an 8.0 Mini Pro ISO. I'll talk about that more in just a bit. And the audio, I'm using the pod mic, but I'm running through the Rodecaster Pro 2. So those things were kind of supplied from.
There we go. There's questions about the Rodecaster
coming right up.
we got one. One guy's got it.
We've got them at the office as well. The Rodecaster Pro, not the 2.
Okay. Well, we were in the process of actually running a purchase order, and the Rodecaster Pro 2 came out, and I believe it was actually $100 cheaper than the Rodecaster Pro. So we opted for the 2.
Oh, really?
With the updated touch panels, and no regrets. That thing's amazing. Other than when it does the crazy phaser noise when we're in the middle of a live stream, but I think I figured that out.
Yeah, when I was launching polls.
Yep. All right, so that's my main camera. My second angle is right over here. This is the Sony A6500, and that's also running into my my 8.0 Mini Pro. But that just gives me a second angle. You can kind of see the pod mic, and you can see the Rodecaster down there. It's all on a standing desk. And then the third angle I'll show is back here. This is coming, I call this Frankenstein. This is my over-the-shoulder view. Joma Tech actually inspired me from YouTube for this kind of angle. Thought it was kind of cool. I'm still kind of dialing in the light on it and figuring out the microphone arm location, because it's clearly blocking what I want to show. But we'll go up a little bit. But what I wanted to do was to be able to provide an angle, like when I'm doing recordings, just to be able to kind of go over the shoulder and get a view of like what I'm doing, and like show that I'm actually working. And with the 8.0 Mini, I can actually go picture in picture, which is kind of cool. So you can go over the shoulder, still make eye contact, and then people can kind of see if you're doing something physical. Just to give you a brief tour of the desk, that's the Rodecaster Pro 2. I am also a Stream Deck fan. Opted for the big boy a couple years ago. I actually pulled the trigger. I'd had it in my cart for a couple of months, and I've been thinking about it. But I saw Jeff Teeper had a tweet, and he was talking about how he liked it and how he used it. And I was just like, okay, I'm sold. So I'm going to go and go and pick it up. And I've been using it for a few years now, and love it. Over here, that's the 8.0 Mini. So that's where I'm managing all of my different feeds with. And then laptop, I've got a 40-inch widescreen monitor in front of me, and then camera is mounted right above that. So let's actually go up and show you the view up there. Hold on. Well, the lens might be too heavy on the gimbal. I'll come back to that. So above that. Yeah, I didn't balance it for that lens. I switched lenses right before we started, so the lens might be a little too heavy, but I'll show it in a minute. Yeah. Above my camera, I have the Aperture Light Dome Mini, so it's the like 29-inch light dome. It's actually really well sized because I'm in a corner. I have an L-shaped desk, and I'm in a corner, and it fits in that corner really well. It's actually mounted directly to my desk via just a TV monitor arm, and then I've got a couple of adapters up top for it. I also have here and here Elgato key lights. I'm transitioning away from the Elgato key lights because they won't connect to my network. The router that I use, they won't stay connected at all. I have to go back to an old router, and I don't like the Wi-Fi dependency. The Apertures run off of the Bluetooth, and they have the Citus app. And you can link them all together, and you can create like different plans, and you just run it from your phone, and it's great. I've had really, really good results with that. So I have an Aperture Light Dome Mini there, and then over my shoulder behind me, I have the Light Dome SE, which Alistair has, which is huge. I didn't realize how big it was when I got it, and I got it here, and I'm like, oh, That's gigantic, but I have a use for it. So it's actually mounted to my, let me recenter real quick. So it's actually, hold on 1 second. So if I can do that. No, well, it's actually mounted to a wall mount arm. Swings from the wall. So use it over there. I'll fix this in a bit. So that hangs out over there, and I can swing it back and forth wherever I want. So if I want to just nice top down on my desk, I can do that. And if I want to go, I've got a workstation back there. If I want it where I test out Microsoft Teams meeting devices, I can use it back over there if I need it. And then as far like audio, I use the Rodecaster for most of like work stuff and webinar based stuff. But if I'm just joining a meeting, I have this little guy here. This is the NT USB Mini, just a USB microphone from Rode. I love it. It's great. It's portable, but I've got it on the Elgato low profile arm. So if I just need to join a meeting, it's there. I don't have to deal with the Rodecaster Pro. And it's portable, so I can pop it in my backpack and take it with me. But I also have, like some of you, let me switch. I also have the Rode Wireless Go 2 lavaliers. I'm just not using it today. I'm going to stick to this. And on camera, the Rode video mic. The cool thing is you can combine these. So you can actually combine them, and you can, with the two, you can use this as like a wireless boom. Just stick it on the end of an arm and just connect it to the receiver and stack them up, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And then just real quick, because we're going to go in more detail, I mentioned that I'm using the 8 Mini Pro. I have the Cam Link for 4K if I need it. I just have to use an adapter, a dongle, to get it into my MacBook. So I use that whenever I'm traveling. I have a base model 8 Mini, and you can actually combine the two. You can take 4 inputs from here and input it into one on the Pro, and then you get 7 inputs total, which is kind of geeky. But I use this one for travel for me and my stuff. The other one's a work one. And then I also have another one that I've been kind of testing for a long time now. This is the Ninja 5 Cast. It's also an HDMI switcher. It's just, the cooling is not very good in it, and it's really loud. So there's a specific use case that I have for that. And on Frankenstein,
you bought that
over
last
here,
Black Friday, didn't you?
Yeah, got
like about a year.
They
ago.
got a better deal on it this Black Friday, but
oh really?
It actually uses the Ninja 5 monitor. That's a recorder monitor. I'm using it here on a Ronin SC gimbal, and I can control the gimbal with my phone. So like I can move the camera around and control the picture. That's where I'm getting the over the shoulder look there. I've got all that
crazy PTZ capabilities. We're talking about like $300 like Insta360. It's like, oh yeah,
pretty
I just
much
use my Ronin.
Yeah. So
I've got a stable Ronin that does nothing but sit in my office, right? It doesn't go outside. It's never seen sunlight.
You're basically just using it as a ball head.
So I got the idea from Make Art Now with Josh Yo on YouTube. He does some really cool stuff with single person cinematography. And I was like, that's really cool. I don't really have a use for a gimbal as a stabilizer. Like I've got 2 kids, I can chase around with it. But I have a phone gimbal for that. And I'd rather use my iPhone because it's lighter and smaller. But if I'm going to film myself and I want different angles and I want to stand up and I want to walk around, how can I do it? This gimbal supports that. There's in the app, you can actually use the phone and it'll do facial tracking and it'll follow me around the room and keep me in frame. And using my Sony mirrorless cam and the Adamus Ninja 5, I can get high definition recording out of it. I can also monitor from this, and I can do I can see if I'm overexposed or underexposed or whatever I need to do. But I can control the gimbal also from my phone when it's balanced properly. And then the lens that I'm actually using on there, and I'll just quickly show that. Let me just pull this up real. The lens that I'm using for that camera is a power zoom lens. So this is a Sony PZ f4 18-105 ASP or APS-C lens. It's for the crop cameras.
Yeah.
So it's got a power zoom on it, so I can actually zoom in or out on it, which is really, really cool. And then on the full frame in front of me, I'm using the Sony f4 24 to, where is it? 24 to 105G. That lens is super, super sharp. And then on my other camera, the one that's mounted to the corner, I've got a couple of Sigma lenses, a 16 and a 30 that I switch out depending on how wide I want to go with it. So that's kind of the overview of most of the setup. And then as far as like accent lights go, that's an Aperture, I don't know what, B7C, I think that's what it's called. I have the Aperture 60X, like Alistair, have two of those. There was an amazing deal on those a few months back. And then I like the Aperture MCs, these little guys.
Yeah,
they come with a
diffuser.
Yep, silicone diffuser built right into it. Effects, connects to the Sidus app. I have a few of these because they make great accent lights, but they also make great key lights. If you need a key light and you're on the go, they're small, they're lightweight, the battery lasts a really long time. They're USB-C powered. So I have a couple of those that I work with. So
nice.
Yeah, and that's most of my setup.
Is it safe to say that Andy accumulatively has more kit than all of us put together, right? Because that's how
I think maybe I think Alistair, you might have more objects, but I think Andy's are like more expensive per object.
But he's got a couple of G-Master lenses, right? I've got one.
Yeah.
And that hurts my colon every day, right?
Yeah. Between your house and your office, you've got a lot of camera bodies, dude.
But that's over years, right? And half of them I'm not even using because we've just gone across to Sony.
I started with this. So this is how John and I actually kind of met a couple years ago. Was talking about cameras and Microsoft Teams meetings, and I think we did a couple of sessions like PowerPoint Live and things like that. When I first started using the default, like I was using webcams like everybody else, like you know, the Logitech webcams, and I really wanted a higher definition picture, and I knew it was capable, but none of the webcams were doing it. And so I had a Canon Rebel T6 sitting around. And Canon released beta software that allowed you to use a USB input, and you would get somewhere between like 480 and 720p resolution out of it. And so that worked for a while. And so I used that as my main camera, but then something happened with Teams on Mac, and it broke the connectivity for webcams. And so I couldn't use that anymore. And I didn't want to go back to just a Logitech webcam. Nothing against it. I just didn't want, the resolution wasn't there. The depth of field and, wasn't there. So I bought Frankenstein. That camera is a Sony A6000. I bought it used, medium condition, because it does 1080p. It does clean HDMI out, and all I needed was the Elgato Cam Link, and the kit lens was pretty good. It was f3.5. And so I used that as a camera. And not long after I bought that, I found a used Sony A6500, which had 4K, but it also had amazing autofocus. The autofocus on that's really, really good. And the price was really, really good because I bought it used. And the camera at this point is like 10 years old, but it's a 4K camera with really good autofocus and interchangeable lenses. So that's where my kit started from, really, was those two cameras. And, just over a few years, got a couple of lenses. The Sigma lenses went on sale a couple of years ago. Black Friday, I think like the 16 millimeter was, the 30 millimeter was like $200. And that was just a steal for that particular lens. And then, moving into corporate environment, the A7 IV, that's just for professional work, but here we are.
One A7 IV, you can get 3 or 4 ZVE 10s, right?
That's what I'd go for now. If I was rebuying stuff, I'd go for the ZVE 10.
Yeah.
That looks like
Look,
a really nice body to start with.
We looked at the ZV-1, and Ulanzi's got a wide angle on the front of it, so it takes that. I think it's the 24 on it because it's got a zoom lens. Because it's an all-in-one, right? There's no
it's built in,
detachable. And I think it brought it to like 21 or 17 or something. And we were looking at that, and then we decided to go for the ZV-10s, and I'm so glad we did.
Yeah. All right, you want me to go through mine? And then there's a few comments I think we can highlight. Okay, so this year I've changed my angle a little bit. So last year about this time I was facing straight on, and that was like a little bit different background and everything. And I was using a teleprompter last year, but some back issues and going to a chiropractor made me like re-swizzle how I did my desk, because I was sitting with like my head turned all day, and it was like screwing up my like middle back. So I kind of like moved my desk around now to be like more ergonomic, because I've made a job change this year to where I'm not quite on camera as much. I'm doing a lot more like, focus work time and stuff. So I can be like front and center with my ultra wide. So I've moved my camera over to the side now, and that allowed me to also get it back further. So I've got like more space around me. It's not quite so, pushed in. And I like that. I really like Darrell's setup where he could see his desk and you could see his like whiteboard behind him. So I wanted to like get my camera back so that you could see my hand, because I gesture a lot when I talk too, and I think it gives you a little bit more presence to maybe feeling a little bit more like we're sitting across the table from each other in real life, So that's what I'm going for with this angle. And whenever I set up my desk, I always like to, I don't know if you guys do this trick or not, but you Mac users, if you use QuickTime Pro, so you like bring up QuickTime and then do new movie recording and select your camera that you're setting up, you can make that sucker full screen on your monitor and then walk around your room and start like, meticulously messing with your stuff while you're looking at it. And you can like use that to kind of stage behind you. And I use that to make sure that nothing is like growing out of my head or like in a weird spot. I kind of use that like, as a map to figure out my angles of everything and like decorate my room so that it's like specifically dedicated to this angle from the camera. So when you see it in real life, and some of the lineups and stuff might not make quite as much sense, but this is my frame now. And if I go to, I'm going to try to go to the Elgato, the Epoch Cam. Should connect here in a second. There we go. And I like this ability to like switch these, but the problem is it's a little bit of a delay going from like that camera to this. I got to like figure that out. But this is my desk setup right now. It is a standing desk. It's a fully desk that I got the first like summer of the pandemic. So like about 2 or 3 months into it, I got legs, and then I made this top myself. I have a wood shop in my basement. So we made this top custom to fit the size that I wanted and everything. And then I guess going from like one side to the other, I'll kind of sweep across, and then I'll talk about the rest of my office. But what I've got is, this is my camera. It's a Sony a6400 with a Sigma 16mm f1.4 on there. I got this lens last Black Friday. It was, well, do you remember, Andy? It was like $140 off or something like that, if I remember right.
Yeah, that was the stupid deal that I got on it as well. I think
it was like a really good deal. It's like a $400 lens. I got it for like $140 off or something. But yeah, so I've got that one. That it's a prime lens, so I'm not zooming in and out, things like that. I've also got the kit lens for this, but I just don't use it. It's sitting on an Elgato multi-mount arm, so like their solid arm, and it's just got like a little ball mount underneath there that it's attached to. And then I flip the screen up so I can see myself, in the frame. So it kind of gets me to kind of look at my lens a little bit, so I have a little bit better eye contact. And it's coming out HDMI to a Elgato Cam Link 4K. And then I've got the little like battery, dummy battery in it. So it's just powered all the time. Never have to touch it. Up above there, this is my Elgato key light. It's the full size key light with the stand that clamps to the desk. And I got this, I got the last one at Micro Center before the pandemic started. Like as the pandemic was starting up, there was one in stock. So I ran down across the metro with my mask and my gloves and everything. You know, this was like back when we were like washing our groceries, you know, in the driveway because we didn't know what COVID was. But I got a light before they vanished. And then sweeping across here, this is my presentation monitor. So it's an InnoView 15-inch portable monitor, and it's USB-C and HDMI. And what I do is I've got a big ultra-wide monitor here. This is a 34-inch Dell monitor, but I can't present this using Microsoft Teams because it's too squished, right? So what I've got is I've got this that's 16 by 9, 1080p, and this is what I share. So whenever I'm doing live streams or I'm doing Teams meetings, I share just this, and that way I can make sure that I absolutely control what shows up on the screen. I never have a text message come by or anything like that. And it directs my attention towards the camera. So I'm focused in, I'm looking at the camera. This is kind of the setup for like attention. And then I've got, this is the Devoom Pixu 2 or something like that. It's just like a little fun clock that I've got that I like. It's got mechanical keys on it, so you can kind of play with that. I've got the Logidock. This is one I was part of the certification for when it was getting Microsoft Teams certified. So I got the Logidock. I like this a lot. Other than the only thing I wish it had is I wish it had Ethernet built into the back of it, because my feedback to Logitech was like, this is for Teams recordings or Teams meetings, and the best way to do meetings is to be hardlined. So like, why did you not put Ethernet on it? So I'm using up an extra USB port just to have Ethernet for my computer. Connected to that, I normally don't have this hooked up, but I just bought the Rode Wireless Go 2 on this past Sunday because I was in Orlando. We were setting up this camera to be used for interviews, and my Pico mic, lavalier mic broke. So I had to go to Best Buy and buy a $300 microphone to replace it. I've got the Stream Deck XL. We'll talk about this whenever we like share our screens and go over our Stream Decks, but I'm really liking the XL. I'm thinking about next to it getting the Stream Deck Plus at some point. That way I can have knobs and all that. Moving across, I've got the Elgato low angle, the low profile mic arm. I really like it a lot. I'm having the same problem as you, Darrell, where like it's kind of sagging a little bit. Yeah. So I need to get like some Allen wrenches and like really tighten this up right here.
Which they don't recommend, right?
Yeah, they don't recommend doing it, but like maybe I should put some thread locker on it or something. But I don't know. Yeah, I really like it a lot. It's a good mic arm. I've got the Tom Buck Blue XLR cables. That's my little Tom Buck nod. I've got the Shure MV7 with an SM7B little, what do they call it? This pop filter. So I liked that longer one that's a little bit more premium. It's like a little bit softer than the one on the SM or the MV7. So it's like just a little bit nicer. But that's my John, MV7.
There's a quick tip there, because we use the same mic. Mount it so it's upside down and you don't see the goofy lights in the shot.
Oh, yeah. So it's not like on the top like that. Yeah, I might do that. Another thing I'm thinking about doing is taking these screws off and taping it all up really nicely and then spraying it with Plasti Dip. I don't know if you guys have that in South Africa or New Zealand, but there's like spray rubber or spray plastic that you can buy in a can. I'm sure it's like horrible for you. But you spray that on and it's matte black. But what's nice is it's not permanent. So if I don't like it, I can peel it off. So it's not actual spray paint. It's like a rubber coating that you would put on like pliers or something.
Cool.
And you can get it in tons of different colors. So I could like colorize it if I wanted to. But I might do something like that to kind of hide that logo. Over here, this is how I'm bringing that microphone in. So I've got XLR, going into the Wave XLR, and I've got it just over on the side of my desk because I never touch this knob. So I've got it out of the way. And then these are hookups. I do a lot of like testing MTRs and like validation for the Microsoft product group. So I've got like power and this is a PoE Ethernet so that I can like test those things out for like Alex Ivanov and that team. So yeah, normally I've got like some kind of gadget right here that I can't show off because it's like under NDA still. So that's that blank spot. For keyboard and mouse, I've got the Logitech. This is the Logi mechanical keys. So it's their like, what do they call it? Like the MX keys. This is the mechanical version.
Yeah.
Really like that a lot. And then this is the MX Master 3S. So I upgraded, which sounds ridiculous, but I upgraded from the 3 to the 3S because this one it was like 90% quieter clicks. So I can multitask because you got to think, I'm sitting here like this. So my keyboard and mouse is like right by my speakerphone. So I bought this specifically so I could goof around in meetings and people won't hear me clicking my mouse button whenever I'm like not paying attention. So a lot quieter mechanical keyboard. And then the felt desk mat. I really like this a lot. It kind of added a little bit of like warmth to the desk. But that's the desk setup. I've got, like you, Darrell, I've got a window behind me, but I've like fully blacked it out with some of these. They're just paper shades. And then up top, I've got the Brio 505. That's the new one. And the Brio 4K. And honestly, I've only played with this a little bit, but I think I'm liking this one that's not 1080, that's not 4K. I think I actually like it better than the old 4K one because it's got some like AI capabilities and stuff for like straightening up your desk and doing some of that type of stuff. It'll also like follow you around using the right sight technology. What else? Over here to the side, I've got a little fan, my little pegboard up on the top, the Quest Pro. Just got that like a month ago. Over here on the side, there's my Keychron, Alistair. So I've got the Keychron K2, the Mac keyboard and trackpad. This is kind of where I like display that gaming stuff. Again, this is like over the corner of my shoulder, you know? So I like to have like a little bit about me in my background. Posters, all that stuff. This guy, I get a lot of questions about this. This is the Divoom Pixu Max. So it's like 32 by 32 little like pixel art frame. So I've got that, some Game Boys that I collect over the years and a refinish. I get questions on Teams meetings a lot about the arcade right here. And that is a Legends Ultimate. And then I put CoinOps X on it. So it's got like 1,300 games. It's a 2-player arcade. This is, I don't know, any of you guys have the Govee lights? This is a Govee lamp that I put in the background that I really like. It animates in the background for me. Yeah.
I'd buy Govees, but we don't get, well, they're expensive in South Africa.
Oh, really?
That's the problem. Yeah.
Interesting. See, I bought this because it's cheaper in the US than the Philips Hue version.
Yeah.
So I got it. Plus, it animates a little bit better. I think the Philips Hue is like all one color at a time, I think. So there's that. And then I've got the Neat board right there at the top. So been having that for about like a year and a half or so. And then swinging back around, Darrell, you've got your whiteboard. I've got mine kind of over here to the side. You can see that I'm like getting into Notion. We've been talking on Twitter about that. But this is my setup for that. And I had to take my clamp down. But normally what I do is I take my Brio and I clamp it to this arm right here. And I have it facing directly on so that I can do like that Teams content capture and be able to straighten it and everything. So it's usually like facing that direction to capture my whiteboard. And then I actually don't have my laptop and everything on my desk. I've got it off to the side here. So I've got the, this is my work laptop. This is my Mac Studio. So when I left Cerner, I bought this as my personal device, and that's what I make all my YouTube videos on, like live streaming right now. We're running off of the studio. And then this is a Dell laptop. Whenever I'm demoing like Megan Bowen, and I've got like Contoso up, this is running like a full Contoso environment right there. And then the old Quest 2 headset off in the corner. So that is my setup. I don't think I'm missing anything. Let me switch back here to my other angle.
Wires. You're missing wires. There's not like a single wire. Like you had two where you plug in like external devices, and then you got like the one off of your microphone. But I did not see a wire anywhere else in that entire office cable, anywhere.
That wire is usually gone for this like this Rode mic. I don't know though. Like Alistair, your desk I think is cleaner than mine. Even yours looked super nice. It was like an Apple store over there.
I've got stuff laying on it right now, but it is about making sure that I have a clean desk. But for the purposes of today, there's just so many things laying on my desk.
Yeah, little gadgets and stuff like that,
and lights and I got a Surface Dial, right? Because you have to have one. Right?
Oh, do you have that? Here, let me switch back to my phone. So you were talking about cables, Andy. So that's what it looks like now. Here's the bottom. So all of it is shoved underneath here into baskets.
Yep.
So all my cables are just like tucked in there. Yeah. I guess the other thing I didn't mention, I've got that's the Ubiquity switch. I've got all Ubiquity network in my house and PoE to every single room in our house. And I that's my only switch that has PoE coming off of it as well. So that way I can power like those MTR, like over here in the corner, the little MTR tablet. Those have to be power over Ethernet. So I use it for that. But there's where all my cables are hiding, Andy.
You are a wizard at hiding cables. That is
the problem is if I make a change, it's a huge ordeal because I have to like move everything around. So am I getting muffled? Because I feel like my mic keeps like going into my throat.
Occasionally muffled.
A little bit.
Occasionally muffled. I need to like.
You muffled when you were leaning over, so I thought it was like clipping your beard or something.
Yeah, if you cut out just a little chunk behind and had like a little facade there, there'd be enough room for the Rode mic. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, now it'll kind of lean out like that, but then my beard might scratch on it. We'll see. Yeah, it feels like it keeps like tilting in because I had like the inside of it with just a clip hanging out.
Well, on that, I mean, we're talking about Rode wireless Go's. So I use mine more for recording than live stuff, and I'll be plugging a lav mic into it. So that I'll align that.
Yeah, you like drop it down your shirt and clip it to your pocket or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then drop this onto my camera. So the Sony A6400 I've got, I added a what's it called, a small rig piece that goes over the top. Because like you, I use the flip up display to be able to look at it, but then you can't use the hot shoe for any mounting of devices. So the small rig that I've got allows it to sort of sit off to the side or up to the other side of it too.
Yeah. But, do you guys all have the wireless Go 2?
No, this is the original.
This is the wireless Go 2, and then we've got the
so you've got like the second microphone and all that. It's got like two transmitters.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I had the original and I sold it on Facebook whenever like the new one came out because the new one had two transmitters and the connection with Rode Connect. So I sold it and then never bought the two until I had like another one break. So it gave me a reason to have to go get it. Yeah. But
have you used it for interviews yet?
We did. So we at my company, they sent me out to Orlando, and I was there to attend as a participant because I'm onboarding. I just started back in March, but I also was there a little bit early and stayed a little bit late because we set up a metaverse experience in one of the rooms. So we set up 190 Quest 2 headsets, and we had people go through, and they were like trying out the metaverse experience that we had put together. And at the outside of it, I put my Sony camera up on a tripod, and we had a very outgoing member of the team. he was snagging people for interviews to get like sound bites. And so what we did was we put the Rode Wireless Go on top of it, and then he had one clip to him, and the other one he would clip to the interviewer or the interviewee. They would be on screen, and he was behind the camera. So that way you can hear, his name's Ron. You could hear Ron asking the question and then the person answering it. And it was like in a loud conference center, and all the sound was super, you know, like in the background. It was really not distracting, all the extra noise of people talking. It worked out really well. So I'm glad I went and got this.
But for someone that wants to start out with this, right? If you look at Caleb Pike, he does this sort of what you can get for $500. Think Media does it as well with Omar and a few of them. They talk about where do people start, right? I suppose for me it would be go look in your cupboard and go find an XLR camera. Because everyone must have like an old Rebel or a 2000 or a 4000D Canon or even a Nikon and go and buy a $15. You don't have to buy the Elgato camera.
Yeah, the HDMI capture device.
Yeah,
and if you happen to have one of those, like a mirrorless or a digital SLR, go to the Elgato website on the CamLink page. There's a compatibility list, so you could like look up your camera, and it will tell you if it does HDMI out and if it's clean HDMI out. That's a really helpful tip. But like Darrell was showing his phone up on the screen. Another thing is, especially if you're a Mac user, but even if you're a PC user, you could start with your phone too.
Totally.
I noticed that
that's my advice.
Yeah,
that's
Belkin
always
has
my
a little
advice.
clip now that you can get for like $30 that you like snaps to your phone magnetically, you know, so you just throw your phone up there. And then the new Ventura Mac OS, you get like the desk view, the soft background, all that cool stuff. I want to play with some of that. I need to 3D print some different mount ideas, but that might be a good way to start if you happen to have a mirrorless or a DSLR. Or even like some of the USB webcams, like the C920 is kind of the old standby. But at this point, there's so many options between like the Brios and the Elgato face cams that you could also get really nice with USB if you wanted to.
Also, keep in mind the app that you might be trying to connect this to. For many of us, this came about from Microsoft Teams meetings. So if you're doing a Teams meeting, you can just join from your phone and you can add that device so you can stay on your laptop. And then you can use the phone as your camera, and you can use the forward facing or the rear camera. So you can pick. So if you've got like a newer iPhone or a newer Android, you can use that high definition camera that faces away from you, and you can monitor it on your laptop. So to your question, when somebody's like, how do I get started? For me, the first piece of advice is the best phone you've got, so the one in your pocket. You use that first, and then you can start to expand into some of the other cameras. And to John's point,
I mean, even for that mobile version, I use even though I've got so many cameras, I use the mobile phone as my portable camera because I'm able to do what I just did now. I've got Wi-Fi on it, so I could walk around my room and show stuff. My kind of next phase is I do want to get that like PTZ, the Insta360, but that's just because I want preset locations. Like I want one location that's like facing me at my desk. Then I want to press a button and have it go over to the neat board and zoom in on a whiteboard. And then another one that flips it all the way around and goes to my physical whiteboard. But that's just because I've kind of got like these 3 zones, these hot areas in my room that I want to be able to like flip to, you know. But outside of that, just carry your phone around and use something like Epic Cam from Elgato, and you'd be good to go. Yeah.
Look, you're not going to get. I mean, we've all got some low aperture on everything that we have, right? Andy, you've got an f4, right? On one of your cameras. Yeah.
Both of my zoom lenses are f4. I also have 2 Sigma primes. The primes are 1.4, but both of my zoom lenses are f4. the thought process behind that was when you're filming like video outside of like a streaming environment, like f4 is kind of a sweet spot because it gives you just enough of the blur of the background without losing too much focus or zoom. Like when you go to a smaller aperture, like a 1.4, the field of focus gets much shallower. So if I'm using that to like film my kids, or if I'm using that to like film a device and like I put my hand in front of it, you know, it causes a whole lot of distortion. But if I go to like an f4, which is a little bit narrower field of view, it gives me more focused zone. And so I get a little bit of blurred background when I need it, but then I get the ability to focus in, you know, when I'm doing a product shot or something like that with a video feature on the camera. So that's why I went with the f4 lenses. Plus, when you go from f4 to like a 2.8, a 1.8, or 1.4, the price goes up astronomically. And like with both of my zooms, I have 18 to 105 millimeter, and then I have a 24 to 105 millimeter. That's a constant f4 aperture from the 18 That's or 24 amazing. All the way to the 105. It's a constant f4, but I can also go f8, f12, f22 if I want to do, you know, landscape or something like that. So it gives me the most flexibility to be able to, you know, get what I want. And like, I think the background's blurred just enough on this that I'm really happy with it. If I want to go more, I'll put the prime on one of them and, you know, use the f point or the f 1.4 there.
So I guess those who are watching too, why is aperture and bokeh important for scenes like this? What's it do for us?
I think for me, it just kind of makes me pop off the background a little bit better. You know, it's not, I've got cool stuff in the background, but it's not overly distracting because it's not clear. You know, it's slightly soft focus. So it brings you to like my face that's in focus. You know,
both yourself
Alistair,
and Al
you've got like
good
way
examples.
more room behind you. It looks like so
I've
yours
got more
is a lot
space,
softer than mine. And it depends on how close your background is. And that was where like I was able to get a better blurry background because I moved this angle so that like I'm shooting into the far corner of my room, where when I was straight on, it was closer. So the objects were more in focus, you know.
Well, they say that the eye sees at 17 millimeters, right? So when we get a 16 mil lens, that sort of gives you that, if it was this far away from you, right? So that's an arm's length, and that's at 24. With a 16, it's as if you are looking at someone sitting across from you, right? And for me, when I look at the 16s, if I didn't have that much throw in the background, I would have gone for a 16 because I would want a wider field of view. I went for the 24 because I don't want that wider field of view because I've got more space in the back. And then it depends.
Darrell and I, we've got kind of a conversational view, right? But like I bet in most teams calls, I bet me and Darrell are probably a little bit smaller than the other people on the call.
Yeah,
because like you and Andy, you guys are more like normal webcam size, you know.
I think being able to shift along the desk and be closer to the camera kind of helps with that too. So
and you've got a zoom lens, so you can pull yours in, like Andy just did, you know.
I've got a 30 mil Sigma 1.4 at the office, and I'm thinking right now I went from a 16 to a 30, and you're seeing this of me, right, on the 30. So I might want to go back to a 16 because the 30, I would rather want to be further back from the 30. And what the 30
it's like how much of you do you want in frame?
Yeah,
you know,
the 30 does amazing things in the background. I mean, this is a G Master. They practically double the price of those Sigmas. I love Sigmas.
Yeah.
But that 30 mil on the background, the bokeh on that 30 mil is, I'm very much into that. But then if actually no, how high is your camera, John? Well, it's above
my
your
camera.
screen,
It's
right?
actually below. It's above my screen, but it's below my gaze. And that's again, that's the Tom Buck view. So like I had it at like right at like forehead height or like right at eye level in my old setup. When I moved it here, what I liked was I liked the Tom Buck view. Like I noticed that his camera was lower. So it's like he's kind of talking into the camera and gesturing into it. So yeah, mine is like, I would say it's like chest height. Like so it's lined up with my shoulders or my chest.
But that's the other thing, right? And it's bad because now I want more cameras because I want that view that you have right now.
Yeah, that lower view that's a little conversational. Yeah.
It's next to my screen because this is set up for me standing and talking. That's it.
Yeah.
That's this current view, right? But when my desk is lowered and I'm sitting, you're getting that much of the background above my head, right? And I don't want that. I want your view. So I need another camera over there.
Yeah. What we need is I wonder if next year we're all going to be like into sliders next, right? It's like, oh, I got a slider because you could vertically put a slider and have it go up and down.
Isn't that what the standing desk is all about? We're all like got that sort of.
Yeah, if I wanted
there you
to.
go, Andy.
There's a slider, Can you mount it at an angle, like at a 15-degree angle, right?
This is how it is at eye level. So I'm perfectly in line now with my my lens. And whenever like this angle, whenever I lower it down to where it is normally, there's just something about like a little bit lower that it feels, to me at least, it feels like we're sitting across a conference room table.
Yeah.
You're like an avatar without legs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just a floating torso.
Yeah.
I'm wearing pants today. Normally I'm just in sweatpants.
He's wearing pants.
So yeah.
Bonus round.
Today. Although I'm wearing green or gray jeans. I just realized like I'm like way monochrome. It looks like I'm wearing like a jumpsuit or something. Like coveralls.
Look,
oh, Andy's talking, but he's muted.
I would love to have some more of like the desk in the view, like, more of like from the waist up. But with the way that my desk is set up, I can't put my monitor any further back in that corner. And if I move it to the side of the L, it just doesn't work for me. So mine is slightly above eye level. So like I kind of look to it. And that helps me keep attention to meetings. But when I have to demo, head goes down. And so that's why I was trying to come up with some of the alternate angles. Like, okay, I'm going to go to demo.
Yeah, so you've got that second angle and it's the side of your face.
Yeah. Just to kind of give that different point of view or perspective.
I'm curious, in Teams meetings now, so like we had this era where like everybody's kind of doing like similar things. What do you do for Teams meetings? Are you going straight out of your cam link or your ATEM into the meeting, or are you going into an encoder like OBS and then virtual camera into a meeting? What do you guys do?
Cam link straight in.
Yeah,
straight in.
Yeah.
If the color's dialed in, so at the office, this is my ATEM Mini Pro from the office. It was on my desk. I've now switched it out for an Elgato because I don't have multiple cameras, right?
Yeah.
At the office, and I want 4K. I got a thing for 4K, even though Teams would do maximum 1080, right? If I'm lucky, right? So what I found when we switched from the Canons to the Sonys, the color science in the Sony straight out of the box without dialing anything in, I literally go straight out of the cam link. I don't have to go through anything else. So I'm not going through OBS. Right now I'm going through,
because you're not doing any kind of like adjustment to the color. And that's what you were doing in OBS. You were applying like a LUT to it.
Yeah. I had a LUT at the office, my background, because I don't have, it's during the day, right? So there's no blue light, right? And what I did there was I had a teal LUT because my background was gray. So it's sort of cinematic, that's what they all call it. So it's a cinematic thing. And now with the Sony, I don't have a LUT. I put a LUT into the Canon. I love my Canons. That M6 Mark II was still great. But I don't do it anymore because the color pops more on the Sonys. I still recommend Canon for photography because my 250D, my partner Jen uses it for photography, and we buy all this kit from the same company, like a B&H Photo. We've got what they call an ORMS, and the people there know so much about the kit that we will go pay a premium for the kit just to have the conversation with the people.
Yeah, just because they'll lead you to the right things, so you're not buying and then buying again.
Yeah. Because we Google, we search, you walk into a shop, you know what you want, right? Most of the time. But we can go into ORMS and have a conversation with a guy about lighting, and he'll have his opinions, and then they actually participate. They have a studio and they're shooting video, or they've got a bunch of Canons and they're shooting photography, and you can actually get real world inputs into that. But I'm a Sony convert now for the last not even 5, about 2-3 months. And I absolutely love.
What do you use, Andy? Are you going straight in to your Teams meetings, or are you going through like some software and then a virtual camera?
For the most part, I'm going mini directly into Teams. I have, even though I have 2 cameras that support 4K, I just output 1080. So I'm just doing HD out of the camera. And a couple of reasons for that. When I run it into, let me bring this up. All right, so this is the ATEM Mini software control. The ATEM Mini only supports 1080 HD. It doesn't support 4K. And so even if I'm going from the camera down to it, it's still going to downscale that signal, and then it's going to go 1080 into my computer via USB-C. So I'm running that directly into like Teams. It shows up as a virtual camera in there. It's hardware based, and there's a couple of advantages to using this. You and I spent a good bit of time a couple of years ago talking about the ATEM Mini, because I was on the fence about actually buying it,
setting up all the ATEM switching.
And based off of that conversation, I actually ended up getting one. And what I liked is that it takes the camera stuff to a hardware device off of my system. So my system doesn't have to spend those resources on it. My laptop will handle it, but I don't know if that's always going to be the case. So I like off-putting it to that hardware device. The benefits are, though, like there's a software control that I can use. So like I can use this as a way to, switch cams and, cut and do like whatever I want. Like, so it's just cut, and now I'm back, and, so I can use the software control to it as well. But I'm using the ATEM for multicam, and combining two, I can get like an ATEM Extreme. But like one of them is for what we call Classroom in a Box. It's a way to take a live kit, streaming kit like this, put it in a Pelican case, a la Caleb Pike, and then take it with me, open it up, and monitor and camera and microphone right there. 2 plugs, and 5 minutes later you're recording and broadcasting in a hybrid environment. It's great. But like I use this one here, the ATEM Mini ISO or Pro ISO, for a couple of reasons beyond the basic. The Pro ISO, every one of the feeds, all the multiple cameras that you can feed into it, every one of those get recorded separately on a SSD. And then when you go, because it's all Blackmagic, if you open it up in DaVinci Resolve, it's already synced.
Everything's lined up properly.
So you cut, you get that. So like, let's say I do I do a Teams training. If I record it there, I get a much higher quality picture than what the Teams recording is going to do. And if I make an error, having 2 cameras gives me the ability to say, hey, you know what? Let me just say what I want to say again, and then I'll switch to the other angle and do a jump cut. And it seems like I just transitioned to a different camera, and not that I'm covering up a mistake inside of the video. And
That's so advanced. That's so nice. Yeah.
The little things. And,
See,
and you're already recording.
I mess up, and then I'll stop and I'll clap really loud, and then I'll say that sentence over again to try to just do it. That way I look in Camtasia, I look for the spikes for where I need to cut out my mess ups. I'll get frustrated, and then I'll clap really loud so there's a spike in the audio.
And that's a good thing too. That also helps you to like to sync your audio and your video, like when you're in post. But like using the 2 angles, it makes it easy. If I make a mistake, no big deal. You know, I'm just going to cut. I'm going to start over and I'm going to cut to the second angle, and it just makes a cleaner post-production. And also switching to the second angle keeps it a little bit more interesting for the person that is watching the video later. And then lastly, like this is one reason why 4K is good. You can take from really high and then crop in without losing any of the resolution. And so it, you know, you can change that perspective a little bit, and that's going to help someone with their just attention. A lot of YouTubers do it, and so like I see that. And then like our setups, I think we're also inspired by streamers, you know, those the gamers on Twitch and so forth. So like working in some of the different camera angles and then combining that with some post-production techniques, like you can do like a one take. Even if you make mistakes, you can do a one take. You can trim and post, and there's a lot of advantages to that. So I use the 80 Mini, feed that into Teams, and the version I have, as I mentioned, records across all the channels. But you can also live stream with it. Like if I wanted to live stream to restream directly from the unit, I could. And because it's connected to my network, I can control it from other computers. So like if I want to use this laptop for one thing and pull in another laptop for like video conferencing and controls, I can do that.
Yeah, you can do it over your local network. There's a good question from Jeremy. Do you guys adjust your audio sync? So like you guys with the A10 Mini, do you guys do the offset sync or anything like that, or do you do that in post?
I do it. I do it beforehand. Yeah, so I've tweaked. And to be honest, I don't do a lot of recording or live streaming via OBS now, but it was important to get that lined up
for the most part, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, because what we found, and you guys would have found this too, that other methods of capturing Daniel via a Teams call, it was not going to have an equal kind of quality, and you know, it's really important for me to make Daniel look as good as I do. Right, Al? I mean, you know, he's such a, a gorgeous guy, right? So I had to give him the best chance.
I told him about a Magic Lantern, which is either an image or it's a boots of your SD card so that you can get clean HDMI out of your camera. And he's got an old Rebel sitting in the cupboard. So he did say he was going to investigate sticking a
look into that.
Up.
So that audio realignment, though, is important if you want to go live with OBS and make sure it all matches up, or go recording. And like you can tweak it if you need to.
Yeah, I've noticed mine since I got the Cam Link and the Elgato. It's maybe like 2 frames off now. So like sometimes in Camtasia I'll just separate the audio and I'll just bump it 2 frames and then I'm done. But for live stuff, I'm not adjusting my video sync at all. And it might be off a little bit, but I found that he has called me out about it. Except when I first got this one, the Shure MV7, I think it was Steve Goodman maybe was letting me know. He was like, your audio's off a little bit. So I like went in there and fixed it in post the next time. But I got lazy and I stopped worrying about it again. So
something that Andy was saying about 4K, and I haven't synced up what's happening inside of OBS using the virtual cam. What's nice about 4K and what we're going to be doing in the office, if you've got a podcast style shoot, so you 2 hosts of the show and you've got a third person sitting across from you. So if you look at how Peter McKinnon and Maddie Lapoya used to do their Maddie and Pete show. So I've got a 50, what is this? This is the 56mm f1.4. So I want a 3 camera setup, but I've got 4 people. Where I've got a wide angle, 60mm, so I get the full room, and then I take this across the room, right? Now, if I shoot this in 4K, I can slice it down the middle, and I've got 2 1080p images.
Yeah.
And now, if one person's talking, I don't have to have the other person in it because I can crop that to 1080, and it's perfect.
True.
So that's where it's cool if you're doing like multi setups like that. Looking at Logitech, they bought this company Mevo. Somebody was mentioning that in the chat.
I've seen the 3 cameras.
Yeah, you can get those 3-pack kits. I want to try one out someday, but they're like $1,000. But like
Michael
those
Griff
are cool
was
because
using one. He was
you can
using
have
one
like one on each person and then a wide shot. And what's cool is you control it from your phone or an iPad. But you can set up auto. So it'll just like switch between the 3 feeds for you. If you're kind of doing like a run and gun. Yeah, Ragnar's got them too. He said he loves his Meevos. And what's cool, yeah, Michael, he was showing off. It's in German, so I ran it through like translator to understand what he was saying. But he uses the Mevo and has for a long time for NDI because they natively do NDI over your wireless network. So those are really cool.
I was at one of the collab summits probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and the Mevos just dropped. Remember, Darrell, we were looking for devices when I still was shooting on a webcam out of my garage. And Michael just got that the Mevo. It came with a stick and it had an external battery, and you could live stream from it. And now they've got that 3-way camera. I
used to have like the original, the big tall one. We had one that I like borrowed, but the new one, the Mevo Starts, you can get them in a 3-pack, and they do NDI and all that. One of these days, maybe. I need like a couple more dollars to buy all these things that I have on the list one of these days.
I still want the bokeh, and I want the depth of field, and I want the separation. And I still haven't seen even the Opal cam, which Ian's got. It still doesn't give you this, right? I haven't seen anything that Xiaomi's got a 200 megapixel Leica lens now, and they're actually bringing out another one where you can screw on a lens like the Moment stuff. So who knows what portable devices are going to look like in the next year or two. Andy's doing things.
I saw his menu came up. Jeremy's got a good question here. How much time do you spend editing a YouTube video? Be curious to hear how much editing goes into it for you guys.
It's interesting, right? It depends on whether you've thought about what you're going to say to begin with. So not necessarily even storyboarding or scripting, but just having a general flow of what you want to say. Because if you get things in the order that you want to say it, and you're not like umming and ahhing or whatever, editing's a lot easier. And I think this is one of the journeys that I've found too, is that you learn a lot about editing and editing tricks the more time you spend on it, and things to hide transitions or various other things and cuts. So look, I think on average, if I was doing like a 2 or 3 minute video and it was well thought out, then 2 to 3 hours. Depends on how fussy I'm getting with things I'm trying to try out.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, the general rule of thumb. So I used to work with like some guys that did video production stuff a lot, and they would give people estimates, and they would say estimate about a 1 hour per minute of video. To edit it. So it takes me a couple hours too. Usually I try to do very minimal editing at this point, because like otherwise I get in my head about it, and then it just takes so long that like the moment has passed, But I try to just get it out, and I've got a pretty similar structure to my videos now, where it's like I start full screen, me kind of doing like, hey, here's the setup or why I'm making this video to show you how to do something. Have you ever like run into this situation that everybody has run into? Well, I think I've got the solution. Let's check it out. And then I'll kind of shrink down to the corner, do the demo. And then when I'm done, like talking about whatever, I kind of run out of stuff. Then I just go back to full screen, like, hey, and like, here's some advice or some things that if it's a new feature, like, hey, Microsoft, here's 2 or 3 things that would be nice if you changed it for version 2. I kind of like leave with that, and then I try to cut it down and not do more than like an hour or 2 after I record, just to kind of like chop it up and get it out, because otherwise it'll take me weeks, because I'm so slammed with meetings and I don't really do videos for my job quite as much anymore. So
I try to take a streamer's mentality to it. So I do use OBS. I do set up scenes in OBS that helps with, transitioning and picture. But I also use some of the techniques that I just talked about, filming, multiple cameras and grabbing that ISO feed and being able to interject that in post. I try to do it as a single take. And try to give myself the ability to, deliver that same thing a couple of times in a row. The first time is kind of a dry run. The second time is really working out the kinks. Third time, that's going to be the one that I want to take. But I have the flexibility to be able to deliver, the same training multiple times. But I definitely take streamers' perspective to it.
You try to do
that
live editing, right?
Live editing. Put in my transitions, put in my stingers. If I can do a lower third, do something like if you take the time, like to Darrell's point, if you take the time and outline it. And, once you work through that outline, and for me, my outline's a PowerPoint. And once I work through the PowerPoint, I know what I'm going to say. I know where I'm going to cut. I know what I'm going to demo on. Then when as I'm building that, I'm thinking, okay, I want to cut here, so I'm going to, use my Stream Deck, and I'm going to transition OBS from this to this, and, and go that route. And that tends to work pretty well for me.
But you're right. You got to get your story straight beforehand, or because we all get people dropping comments into our videos saying, just get to the point. I had to watch 1 minute and 42 seconds before you actually covered what you were supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come
I made
on,
a video
man.
that was like how to join without audio on Teams. And the guy had a good point. It was like the intro was longer than the instruction. On that video, it was like a 1:40 video, and it was like more than half of it was me like talking about how I was going to do it.
So storyboarding and getting your story straight definitely helps if you're going to try and take that streamer mentality. Otherwise, you are going to end up with waffle at the beginning that no one cares about. Which I'm good at that too.
The other thing Andy, I don't like for YouTube videos is the max headroom jump cut. That's where people are trying to eliminate every single pause or every single bit of silence. And so you're sitting there watching, and they're just like jumping around on the screen. I can't stand that. Just talk. Like if there's a little bit of a pause between words, that's okay. I don't need,
I try to
a fraction of a second back in my day. I already watch videos at 1.5 times speed anyways.
If it's like a mess up,
You're right. But that's if you use 2 angles, you can cover that up.
Yeah, that's true. So you do mostly live. What I do, to answer Jeremy's question, is I use Camtasia for my recording and my editing for my YouTube videos. If I'm doing a conference presentation, like the virtual conferences, sometimes you like pre-record them and send them in. I'll use OBS for that because I'll intentionally not edit it, because that's like 45 minutes, and I'm not going to spend 45 hours editing a video. So I try to do that more live, and it's more natural, because if I got up on stage at a conference, I would have one shot to do it. So I try to have that mentality when I do a conference recording. What do you do, Darrell, for your videos? You do mostly in the chat, recording and Premiere?
I've got to say, Camtasia has probably the simplest, easiest way to do your zooms and transitions and getting people to follow the content.
It.
Yeah, and I've tried to figure that out in Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects, and oh my goodness, I'm not a motion graphics master. So I get all that sort of stuff done. Like I will record my screen recording and my camera separately, right? So that I can overlay the top, I can peel back the layers and show me talking to, this is me talking to my screen, blah, blah, blah. So over here, and then, full screen demo. Camtasia for my screen grabs, all the zooms, trying to guide people through to what I want them to see, even annotations. But take that and maybe drop it into Premiere Pro for some of the other editing. I find that Camtasia does some strange things with the color science of what we've grabbed from the camera and popped it in.
I wish you could do like LUTs and stuff.
Yeah,
because I just want to stay in Camtasia as much as possible, because I like Camtasia because you can you get your audio, your camera, your screen, all of that is its own track, so like you get everything all synced up, kind of to Andy's point, where if you record on the ATEM ISO, you get everything like synced up. It's just, I'm too simple to try to open up DaVinci Resolve. Like that would hurt me to do that.
If you understand what the bottom section of it is, it's exactly like Camtasia, right? your cuts are at the bottom and there's a flow. And if you are doing some sort of color grading, then DaVinci gets confusing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can add a LUT if you're shooting in Rec 709 and you put a Peter McKinnon LUT in and then you look dreamy, right? But
so do you use Resolve for your stuff, Alistair?
Resolve mostly. I did use Camtasia for a while, but they did weird things with frames, right? So if I'm shooting in 24p, it would only export to 30p, and then it was weird. And DaVinci's and DaVinci.
I do everything in 30 frames per second too. What do you guys like record and shoot in? You do 24?
I'm glad you brought that up.
25 for you, Darrell?
Yeah, well, only because the 6400, the Alpha 6400 does 25 frames per second. And then I maybe I record the screen grab in 60 and sometimes 25 or 30.
Yeah. I just go nice simple 30. So what do you got here? You're at 30p, Andy.
Yep, I do. For the cameras, I do 30 frames per second. If I'm recording like a desktop, I'll do like 60 for that, and then trying to match it up in the timeline of whatever editor that I'm using can be a challenge. But I do 30 for my cameras. With that, I just want to mention this. I'm going to get a little geeky since we're talking about some of the settings. The shutter rate, which is right there, that guy. Rule of thumb, if you're using like a high definition mirrorless camera, is to double your frame rate for your shutter speed. So if I'm shooting at 30 frames per second, I should be doing like 1/60. If I were shooting at 60p, I would be doing 1/120. And you lock that in. So if you're gonna do manual exposure for your camera, you can see I've got right here 1/60, 30 frames per second. I'm f4. That's my aperture. So that's how big the lens is, letting in light. So I'm shooting at f4. So I have a little bit of a blurred background, but not too much. Exposure right here, I've left it in the middle. But if I were recording this, I might overexpose it a little bit so that if I go back and add a LUT later on, then I have the ability to, I have more information. Then I can work with some of the shadows and highlights when I'm color grading, but I don't do a lot of color grading.
Did you say over, or do you mean under?
Overexpose. If you're going to use like a LUT, a lot of people recommend that you overexpose. You get a little bit more information with that. You overexpose slightly, and you get a little bit more information from the highlights and the shadows. And then with whatever color science editing you're doing later, you can draw more information out of that. But that's if I'm just recording. If I'm streaming, I don't worry about it. I leave it in the defaults. And then the last thing is my ISO. The ISO is how hard your sensor essentially is working to bring in all that information. There's base ISO. And when you go above that, you start introducing noise into the stream. Most Sony cameras have dual or newer ones rather have dual ISO. So they have like kind of a lower limit. And then when you get above that, kind of kicks into another gear, and then it has a different set of limits. When I'm doing video like this, I do ISO auto. The one in front of me is ISO 2000. I can't see so that one just shows me auto. But by doing this, the aperture's locked in, the shutter rate's locked in, and I can adjust the ISO. But I don't want to have to reach behind the camera to do that. So I have ND filters. And so like I can, if I need to lower the exposure a little bit, I can. It's telling me that the exposure is not good there. So I can control it with an ND filter. Yeah.
Nice. I turned my info on too, so you can see across the bottom what my settings are. If anybody wants to duplicate, I'm ISO 400, 1/60.
I'm trying to find that menu setting too.
30p. Yeah, it's under HDMI settings.
So it's got to be not a clean art.
It'd be awesome. We all get our like stuff on there. But you can see like this is why I like Sony is like look how good that tracking box is. Like it's working so good to keep my face in the frame, and like it does a really good job. So if my face is anywhere there, I really got to cover my whole face up.
Yeah.
Because if it gets in there, it just snaps right back. Yeah, there you go. and then hit menu to get out of it, Darrell. There you go. Yeah,
And you
hit
gotta
menu.
Just
menu
toggle
one
the
more time.
info button.
It's like the pill-shaped one. Oh no, unable to display.
There you go.
There you go. You got it. Uh-oh.
I'll get there. Whoa.
There it
Hey,
is.
there we go.
Had to like reset something. Yeah, so there you go. There's all of our settings for you
Well,
guys.
that's not mine. I'd have to get behind my camera.
Yeah. It's hard to do that stuff when you can't see the buttons,
Yeah.
but
This is from a
I've done this
camera
a
that
few
doesn't
times,
have a
though.
clean
Like-
art. So
yeah.
similar settings. This is
There
set
we
to
go.
auto. You got auto white balance. I think everyone's got auto white balance. You've got a standard picture profile. You're not
Mhm.
shooting.
Mine's not
in-
auto white balance. I actually dialed mine in. I do
Like that.
3200 for my light, my key light.
Yeah.
And because I have that as a number, I go in and I set my white balance to 3200.
Yeah. I haven't done much here, but because I'm controlling the light, I don't have to worry about what my ISO is doing. It would normally be
Yeah.
on, and then with an ND filter, if there is light, the Canon's got an ND on, and it definitely helps out. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the
nobody's
same as you.
shooting in
My
log.
room is so blacked out that I control all the lighting in here. So I've got a locked in ISO.
Yeah. I actually don't know
Well,
what's on this camera.
that's part of my challenge, guys. Is like I would draw those crusty big brown curtains to black out my room, but I actually kind of
Yeah.
want to see the blue sky when I'm working. The problem
I
is
know.
that
I need to get
the
some
sun
motorized
will
shades.
do this. Yeah, and then so
Yeah.
I do have to leave some of my settings on as automatic, as opposed to dialing them all in.
Mine are literally those paper shades that you get at like the home improvement store for like $6. It's literally those. They're just like paper. But yeah, it's a big wide window, so I think it would be like $300 or something to get a custom shade. But it would be nice, and I'd want it to be motorized because it's behind all my monitor and everything. So I'd want to be able to like open it with a button, and not have to like accidentally knock my camera and mess up the angle and stuff. But
These are all completely achievable for the person who's just starting out.
yeah. Just like we said, baby steps. Like Alistair, like you said, it's a matter of just like all of our setups are the culmination of at least 3 years of doing this. I think I've started acquiring this crap 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Because
So,
our
Darrell, I
jobs
got a question for you.
Oh yeah, what's that?
So I noticed your shutter rate's 1/125. Is there any reason that you've chosen to go with a much faster shutter speed there?
I have found when I dial it down that I can get a bit blurry, and that's partly because it
It's like 1/50.
depends on whether I'm choosing shutter speed priority or aperture speed priority.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just get lazy and forget what I've left it on. But when I was wanting to dial in aperture, and I had a Sigma 16 millimeter 1.4 aperture, I found sometimes if I left it on aperture priority, that it would dial my shutter speed right down automatically, and then everything was just, I'm trying to be romantic to you on a Teams call, and everything's all just, soft focus and
soft focused.
I'm selling you something, or I don't know. But good point, Andy. Like I said, some of the things I do leave on auto because I want to see my window, and if I was going to go full studio, I'd be drawing my curtains and dialing it in.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like a cave when you do that, though. Like mine, my eyes are going to be tired from like 2 hours of having this light on me, But
my
you do it for the quality.
This room is actually next to my garage at the bottom of the house. So I've got blinds there, but it looks into my neighbor's yard, and I don't want that. I don't get the view that Darrell keeps talking about. But when we move, I definitely, and that's the problem now. If you're buying a new house, I don't care about the rest of the house. I care about where my office is, right? And
exactly.
what the walls look like.
It's such a big part of buying a house now, where it wasn't a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I gotta think about, having my having my home office set up nice, because like I'm going to be spending so much time in it. Like I'm not ever going to be working anywhere but home.
Seriously, it's mental health.
Career.
I mean, it's all good that we can for when we need it. I mean, that's why I've still got these big dark crusty curtains that have been here years before we used to live here. I will, pull them across when I want to get a consistent look, when I want to try and make the colors pop a bit more behind on my wall, because I don't have any of that background lighting. But generally, day in, day out, Teams calls or whatever. And can we talk a little bit about Teams call quality? I know there's some Microsoft people on the live stream, but I get that there's a lot of resources taken to run this service, but there's been a lot of optimizations that don't really come out with great quality in terms of recording and even production quality. So that's why
I don't get a lot of complaints about my quality, because like I think in comparison, it's like so much better than everybody else on their like laptop cameras, or their like USB webcams. But if I go into the Teams admin center, there's something about like I'm all Ethernet all the way out of my house, and I've got a 40 meg up, 900 meg down, and for some reason I'm at like 240 or 360p.
Yeah,
like I don't think I've ever gotten all the way to 1080p, like fully hardline all the way out.
Content's always prioritized. So as soon as you start sharing your screen, your inset's going to be whatever it feels like.
I've hit 1080p, and it's not a hard setting in the Teams admin center around what your bitrate is up. We don't have that limitation. Well, we've upped it, right? And I've pushed
my company. We're at 2 meg right now, dialed into 2 meg, and they're talking about maybe going to 4.
Yeah.
My other company, we just maxed it out at 50 meg. We're like, everybody's at home, we don't care.
So I find in the beginning of a Teams call, my picture quality is great, and then it drops to 360p, and then maybe it will get up to 720, and then I keep looking at device health, right?
It's all those pesky people that want to attend the meeting. I mean, if they all just got off the call and left you on your own, you'd look great.
I look great to myself.
We did some extensive testing on this, and we've worked with Microsoft engineers on it as well. We found that if you spotlight somebody's camera, you'll get fairly consistent 1080 out of that. If you spotlight, that has advantages if you feed in an OBS. So if you use OBS, capture your desktop, and then feed it in as a virtual camera, you can get some higher resolution out of it. We found that when you share the screen, the frame rate is actually fairly low. I think it's like the default is like up to 15 frames per second, because maybe it's a PowerPoint, there's not a lot of movement in there. So we found that we had some issues with that, and so we had to work with Microsoft to get some fixes and some admin center settings changed around that. But like pro tip is, for us, we found if you feed it in as a virtual cam and spotlight that, then you'll get a little bit better. I mentioned earlier using the ATEM Mini ISO to record local, record my cameras. I can run my computer screen into that. I can HDMI out my laptop into the ATEM and record the screen of my laptop.
That's what I used to be doing when I had the ATEM.
Yeah. And then I get all of that at, the 1080 frame or 1080p resolution and whatever frame rated output it as. And then, I can go and edit that in post. That's my big piece of feedback for Teams is the recording quality. I'd like to see the recording quality of the Teams meeting recording to be a little bit higher. I'd like to be able to choose whether I want, all the avatars hanging off to the side or the camera feeds, or if I just want the content of that. And the last piece of feedback is I really wish it were easier to edit in the middle. We can trim beginning and end, default,
we need that clip champ integration.
Right. But if you want to,
Chapman's got crickets. I'm not listening.
I think my sure biggest wish list item, 2 things for Teams camera wish list item. One would be to force aspect ratio. That's something you can do in Zoom is
Yeah.
force 16:9 so that you're not
Right.
cropped weird.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that because there's a lot of people who do like corporate backgrounds, right? They do background replacements, got like their corporate logo, but then it gets cut off, you know? Yeah, or trying to show a whiteboard. So I wish I could do 16:9 forced, and I wish I could force HD. That's another thing that Zoom allows you to do is like, I want to just bump me up to HD no matter what. So yeah, that would be nice,
huh?
but hey, it's a shared service. It's a SaaS product. There's only you can only do what they allow you to do, right? So,
but it's tips like Andy said with Spotlight, and that I forget. You know, like even just for like bringing more focus
and you can
to the
spotlight more
person
than one
speaking.
person now.
Yeah, you can. But like, you know, we all forget about it, and we glance down the gallery at all these little postage stamps, and we kind of forget, well, wouldn't it be better to actually draw attention to the person speaking? Can someone co-pilot with me and remember to unpin and pin for that? Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, doing a little bit more production in your Teams meeting will add quality too, because you'll get that nice PowerPoint with you nice and big next to it. But it's just remembering to do that stuff. Automating it would be nice.
Those features are going to be available in Teams Premium Pro Plus.
Oh,
right? Yeah, right. Yeah.
The AI for the AI.
Yeah.
Auto spotlight.
Yeah.
Based on audio.
What we need for like quick stuff like that is ultimately we need first party Stream Deck support so that you could like spotlight, unspotlight, you know, switch things up. That would be super nice to have like proper Stream Deck support. You know, some of the other, again, going back to other competitors, like there's third party options that have been built, you know, for things like Google Meet or Zoom or WebEx. It'd be nice to see teams like, you know, lead in that front of like production quality. Because, and I hope that if they ever do that in the future, I would hope that they wouldn't put it behind Teams Premium, because during the pandemic, so many just normal business people bought Stream Decks. You know, it's not all video pros who own Stream Decks. There's normal people who bought Stream Decks for productivity reasons. So I personally don't feel like that's like a premium level thing. If you were to add Stream Deck support for, especially for like raising your hand and lowering your hand, or like having reactions in a bar, like clicking the reactions quickly. Yeah. I would love to be able to do that, but I don't think it's worth, you know, whatever per month it would be if it was a premium only feature. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
So I was just looking at the keyboard shortcuts that Teams meetings support, and if there were a shortcut, we could use a Stream Deck to macro it, you know, and that wouldn't be too hard.
I do that for the raise hand.
Yeah. So if you won't give me, or if you can't release like a first party, you know, fully baked in Stream Deck package, at least like the keyboard shortcut to do, you know, to spotlight to the speaker and, you know, a couple of other things like that. If we could just get a keyboard shortcut, we could still work it.
Yes, global.
Yeah, so you don't have to like change focus and then fire it.
You're over here demonstrating and you're clicking in the application, you're trying to show people, and then you want to make that quick change. And it's the same for even like the push to talk. Right, they're not global shortcuts, so you got to go grab your.
As Ragnar said, like Stream Deck keys for mesh avatars. Like I've seen so many emotions, so many you know, things that you can do. Like those need to be mapped so that they're not too hard to get to or whatever.
I want to switch it off for everyone, right? Switch it off for everyone, because the first 20 minutes people are going.
Yeah. What I love though, in like playing with the avatar stuff, is I love being able to get into a meeting and do a quick wave. Like I feel like, so the reactions, you know, you've got thumbs up, clapping, hearts, and shocked face, right? I wish they had a wave, because like when we jump on MVP calls, right, and there's like 150 people on the call, the chat is just like, hello from wherever, hello from whatever. Like I kind of would want to just join and do like a quick little wave emote reaction. Like, number 5 should be waving, and then you could like wave when you leave, you know.
Hey, so for the global shortcut, here's a tip for you. So if you're on a Stream Deck, when you create an action, you can do like a multi-action, and what you can do is you can tell it open that app, and then what you want it to do, and that even if the app's already open, it brings it to the forefront, and then it sends the command in. So that's how I do my Teams mute unmute. So no matter, even if I'm looking at a web browser, like I can quickly unmute.
That's how I do my raise hand
Teams
also.
So send it to,
and that's
send it to
better
the application
on a
first.
Mac. We were talking about that like 2 years ago, Darrell, weren't we? About like on a Mac, it's so easy to like send it to an app and then send the keyboard shortcut.
It wasn't
but on a
working
PC,
well on
it was
Windows.
harder to it was harder to get Windows or Teams to be in focus. So that's another, if you're on a Mac, this is like really easy to do. But yeah, global would be nice. I wonder if that's possible though with like the current framework, if there's like some technical reason why they wouldn't be able to be global because of like
web browser.
It's because it's wrapped in Electron,
Well, for now, right? T2's coming, right?
For now, but maybe in the new, maybe that's another reason that it would be better to move to the new one, So
custom together
Presenter
modes.
Plus device. Yeah, Phil's talking about that presenter device, the new like slide advancer they brought out. That's pretty cool. My Logitech dock, that's the other thing. Like I love the Logi dock because of the buttons on it. It has a few unique things where like all the Teams certified devices, they've got like muting the microphone and unmuting, but this one has camera toggle too. So I can turn on and off the camera. And what's nice is if I'm in a Teams meeting and the Teams is in the background, I see that red light and I know my camera's turned off. So that's really nice to have that visual indicator. And then on Teams devices, if you've got like the Teams icon, you hold down the button for 5 seconds, it'll raise the hand in the meeting too. So Darrell says he's got to go. So thanks for hanging out, Darrell. Really appreciate it.
It's been
awesome. I got to wrap this up soon too because I got to go pick up our van from the shop.
It's 20 past 11 on a Friday evening. So
holy cow, man.
So I'm going to drop. I've had a couple of late nights this week.
And it's Saturday for Darrell, so
it is Saturday for Darrell.
We could. I know we could talk for a lot longer, and we'll probably do a round two at some point. But I think this was cool. Really good. I learned a lot.
Yeah, this was fun,
awesome,
guys. Well, thanks for suggesting it.
This was a lot of fun. Yeah, this was good. It's a good way to end out the year. Hope everybody has a safe, holiday season. And me and Andy will be back in January. If you guys got any ideas for things you want to talk about and deep dive in Office 365, let us know.
And so, what are your shows? Where can people find you?
Shows.
Yeah, where can people find you guys?
Well, I'm Modern Work Mentor, so that's my channel. I'm also weekly show with Daniel doing the 365 Message Center show, so that's 365 MCS. That'll do. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Darrell. Appreciate your time, dude. All right, Alistair, where can we find you at?
Find me on Twitter at Alistair Pugin. We've got season 2 of. Why is my lights doing weird things? We've got season 2 of SCI Fridays. So you can just find us on LinkedIn or on YouTube, SCI-Fridays, like TGI Fridays. We've got season 2 dropping, I think, the 3rd week of Jan. And that's where you can find me.
Cool. Awesome. And then we're right here, me and Andy, for 365 deep dive on all of our channels. So
thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Stay safe this holiday season. We'll see you in the new year.
Happy holidays, everybody.
All right. Bye.